My name is Georgie and I am a first-time mum. When I found out I was pregnant, and everybody offers their advice, the most consistent piece of advice I was given was sleep when the baby sleeps. And that sounded all well and good at the time until Willow was born and she didn't sleep. And we struggled. We didn't know how to get our baby to sleep. She had reflux and she had colic. And the only way to get her to sleep was if she was on my chest or on my husband's chest. And it was a really difficult time for us both. We couldn't put her down. She refused to be anywhere but upright on somebody. And once we eventually transitioned her to being somewhere else, it was between us in the bed. We couldn't put her in our own bassinet, and if it was, it had to be on her tummy. And I think that was just helping soothe the colic and reflux. I was under the care of Maternal Mental Health here in New Zealand, and they were absolutely incredible. They were so lovely, and they offered me a lot of help. I was offered the opportunity to go to a care facility in the Waikato called Mothercraft, and Mothercraft changed my life. It's a facility full of qualified nurses where mums who are struggling and babies who are difficult go for a little bit of respite, and they help sleep train your babies. And we were at our wits' end. It was our last resort. I had nothing left. I had nothing left to give. I was emotionally and physically exhausted. I really didn't like being a mum for those first 6 weeks. I was just, it was really tough. It was really tough. So what I want to do is I want to share with you the tools that I learned at Mothercraft that help get babies into a sleep routine. And you can start this from day one, and I totally encourage you to, because I was told, don't stress about putting your baby into a routine too early. They're just not going to do it. And that was, I think, wrong. Had we learnt this information a lot sooner, we might not have been through the struggles that we went through. So what I want to do is I want to give you the tools that I learned so that you don't have to go through what I went through, that you don't create these habits of babies sleeping on you and not being able to be put down. There is a way through that, and it does involve a bit of regimented routine, but it literally saved our lives. So I hope you enjoy this video and you learn some things. And it may not be for everybody, but that's all right. If you're anything like me and you're really struggling like I was, then you may find that this is absolutely perfect for you, and I hope it is. Okay, so first of all, I just want to let you know that these routines are based on a controlled crying technique. Now, it's not cry it out. I'm not talking about putting your baby down and leaving him or her to cry for hours on end. It does involve a bit of crying because babies cry and they need to learn to self-settle. So that's what we will be teaching them, I suppose. So at Mothercraft, it was five days that I spent there. I went in on the Monday and I was terrified, and it was only a few hours in before I had my first meltdown, and I thought, this isn't gonna work. You know, Willow just screams, and she did. She cried a lot that first day, and it was pretty tough to listen to, but there were so many other mums in the same boat as me, and we all just bonded. We all got along. And the nurses, the care that they provided was out of this world. They were so lovely, and I am forever in debt to you ladies who helped get me through. It was life-changing. So I want to go over birth to 6 weeks of age first. So that's how old Willow was when we went into Mothercraft. The first thing that they taught me was you need to keep your baby up for 1 hour. That 1 hour is giving you time to feed them, to play and interact with them, to change them and bath them if they need a bath. You complete all of that within 1 hour, and you need to keep your little one awake for that hour. Don't let them fall asleep on the breast or on the bottle. Keep them awake. If they are, when they're really little, starting to fall asleep and they're not suckling anymore, you can give them a gentle stroke along the jawline, which will help stimulate them to get suckling again. If they are falling asleep, you can undress them, let a bit of a cool breeze flow onto their bodies, tickle their feet, get a cool damp cloth and put it on their forehead. You just need to keep them awake. Once your 1 hour is up, it's now bedtime. So you want to wrap your baby nice and tight, okay? Wrapping them prevents the Moro reflex, which is that startle that they do that wakes themselves up. So you wrap them nice and tight, arms by their chest or up by their side, whatever your little bud prefers, because each baby is different. Wrap them up and put them down on their back in their bed. Then you want to say goodnight, give them their cuddle, give them their kiss, and walk away. You want to start your timer, okay? Time 10 minutes. Go somewhere in the house where you can't hear your baby cry, because this could take a little bit of work, but you don't want to be listening to that all the time, because it will tug on your heartstrings and it can be tough. But just remember, this is a sleep training. We're teaching your baby how to self-soothe, and it will get better, I promise. Time that 10 minutes, and once the 10 minutes is up, if your baby is no longer crying, they're a fast learner and they've learned to self-settle already. Fantastic. You've done a great job. If, however, which is more likely, that they are still crying, that's all right. You want to go in there and you offer a settle. Your settling technique can consist of a gentle pat on the thigh or on the stomach, a shush, where you just go shh, 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 shh in their ear until they calm down, a rock. If you've got a bassinet or a cot that can rock, just give it a jiggle until they calm down. If they take a dummy, offer them a dummy. You just do any one of those things or a combination of them all to get your baby to settle. Now, the settling technique, you're not in there to put your baby to sleep. You're just helping them calm down and settle so that they're no longer crying and they're back to a placid state. Once that happens, it could take 5 seconds or the full 10 minutes of you being in there. Then you walk out again and you start your timer. Time another 10 minutes. If at any stage during the 10 minutes of being in the room or out of the room, your baby's cries start to get gaps in them where they're no longer a full cry, they're just like a wah, wah, then that is great. That's fantastic. That means your baby is starting to settle and is starting to calm down and able to self-soothe. So when you hear those gaps, don't go in. Time another 5 to 10 minutes and see what happens. Because more than likely, if it's gotten to that point, they're about to nod off to sleep. They're settling themselves, and that is fantastic. Now, your sleep times for birth to 6 weeks is going to be anywhere between 2 and 3 hours. So your full period will consist of 1 hour of being awake and anywhere between 2 and 3 hours of sleep. So you've got either a 3-hour feeding window or a 4-hourly feed. When they're really little, they will probably want to be fed more often. So you're more than likely going to be doing a 3-hour window. So 1 hour of up, 2 hours of sleep. Once they get a little bit older, so around the even 4 to 6 week age, they're more than capable of doing up for 1, down for 3, which is what Willow was doing at 6 weeks old when we got into Mothercraft. Now, we started all of this a little bit late. You can totally start this from day one. We didn't get the opportunity to go to Mothercraft until Willow was 6 weeks old, so there's every possibility that she would have been doing this a heck of a lot sooner had we known these techniques. So for your 6 week to 3 month old babies, it's very much the same. You use the same settling techniques and the same window, up for 1, down for 3, up for 1, down for 3. And when it comes to night time, You will notice, because at about 2 to 3 weeks of age, your baby does the daytime nighttime flip, and they now understand that there is daytime and there is nighttime. Most babies will sleep better at nighttime, which is wonderful. So as they get older, their nighttime periods, their sleep will start to stretch. You will see longer periods at nighttime. Willow did her first 8-hour stretch while we were at Mothercraft, which was amazing. And once we got home, continuing on with the routine, it wasn't long before she was doing 12 hours. And so for the last pretty much 2 months now, so she is going to be 4 months old next week, she has been sleeping 12 hours at night, and up for 1, down for 3, up for 1, down for 3 throughout the day. As they get a little bit older, so from 3 months, probably about 3.5, closer to 4 months onwards, they might want to be up for a little bit longer, so you can keep them up to an hour and a half. Keep them up, play with them, entertain them. They're just looking at everything, they're so amazed, so provide a little bit more entertainment, give them some things to hold on to and play with. But keep them awake again for that full hour and a half if they're happy to be up for an hour and a half. And then wrap them up and put them down to bed. At about 3 to 4 months old, a baby will start growing out of their Moro reflex, so you can look at transitioning them out of a wrap into either not wrapped at all, or what we've got with Willow, she's nearly 4 months, she is in a wrap that allows her to have one arm in and one arm out. So you can buy some transitional wraps like that, which are fantastic to have. So that is from 6 weeks to 3 months old, and from 3 months onwards up to about 4.5 months. They can be up for that a little bit longer. Right, what I want to teach you now is about tired signs. So these are the indicators that you need to learn about when your baby is ready to go to bed, and you can't miss these. These are so important. Tired signs will include grizzling or easily irritable, where they're just playing around on the floor and they seem happy enough and just lying on their back, and then they start grizzling and they're getting a bit grumpy. That is a tired sign. When you start seeing that, it is time to wrap that baby up and put them to bed. Another one can include eye rubbing, when they start rubbing their eyes. That can start as early as about 6 to 7 weeks. That's when Willow started rubbing her eyes. Wrap them up, put them to bed when they start rubbing their eyes. Yawning, that one's a given. When they start to yawn, it's bedtime. Jerky limb movements, that's another one. So your baby could be lying on the floor and you're interacting with them, and suddenly all 4 of their limbs just start kicking and punching and they're going for it, and that can be a tired sign. Another one is clenched fists. So little babies, they will quite often have their fists clenched like this, and if the fists are clenched and they're jerking around, it is bedtime. So those are tired signs. You need to keep an eye out for those, and as soon as you start seeing them, it's bedtime. If you miss them and you let them stay up for too much longer past the first signs of being tired, your baby will become overtired, and that is a difficult situation for you to be in, because once a baby becomes overtired, they tend to be far more upset and much more difficult to get to sleep. So once you see your tired signs in your bubba, it's time to put them to bed. Here's a little piece of information you probably didn't know. Babies go through sleep cycles. A sleep cycle lasts for around about 45 minutes to an hour. In the first 0 to 10 minutes of a sleep cycle, a baby is just starting to fall asleep. So that's probably just after they stop crying so much and they're starting to just grizzle and have a little chit chat. That's the 10 minutes that they're starting to fall asleep. From 10 minutes through to 20 minutes, they're getting into a deeper sleep. So they're still a little bit, still wary of what's going on, their eyes are shut, they're falling asleep, but they can still be woken up. From 20 minutes through to 30 minutes, they're in a deep, heavy sleep. that's where you rock out the vacuum cleaner and you make a little bit of noise because your baby's not likely to wake up. It's also good to keep a little bit of noise happening in the house so that your baby does get used to sleeping through things like the vacuum cleaner or the dog barking, that sort of thing. From 30 minutes through to 40 minutes, they're just coming out of their heavy sleep. So it's kind of like that 10 to 20 minute period where they're falling into a deeper sleep. You've got the 30 to 40 minute window where they're coming out of their heavy sleep. And from 40 minutes to 50 minutes, they're in a light sleep stage. Okay, so that's where they're easily woken. After that is up, they're probably going to wake up. Willow does. She will wake up after her sleep cycle and she might have a babble, or she might just lie there and look around for a bit, and then they go back into another sleep cycle where it's 0 to 10 minutes of starting to fall asleep. Now the benefit in knowing about a sleep cycle is when your baby wakes up after a sleep cycle, if they start to grizzle and cry or they're talking, don't go rushing in there because they're probably about to start falling into their next sleep cycle. As soon as you hear your baby, if you're anything like what I was, you're thinking, oh, it's time to get them up. They're awake. They've only been down for 45 minutes, but what am I going to do? They're awake. Not the case. Okay, they will wake up, but they're probably going to fall back to sleep. If they do wake up and it doesn't sound like they're going to go back to sleep, but they're not due up for their next feed, then go in and offer them a settle and see if you can get them to go back to sleep and fall back into another sleep cycle. As they get older and as you continue on with this routine, your baby will learn to self-settle and self-soothe so that they can fall back into another sleep cycle with ease. And as they get older, their sleep cycles will extend. Just like us as adults, we actually go through sleep cycles too, but ours are a lot longer. We have a lot more periods of heavier sleep than babies do, but as they get older, their sleep cycles will increase as well. So for the time being, they're about 45 minutes to an hour long, and that is how they go through their sleep cycles. What good is a video like this without a bit of show and tell? So I'm going to show you a clip of Willow falling asleep and self-settling herself. You will probably see her cry, and you will probably most definitely see her suck her thumb because she loves to suck her thumb. So I'm going to go and record this right now, and let's see what happens. This is my family. Not the face, Odie, not the face. I love you guys. I love you guys. Hi, Willow. Hi, gorgeous girl. How you doing? So, you have been up for 1 hour now, but you don't seem to look very tired to me just yet. And because you're nearly 4 months old, you're allowed to be up for up to 1.5 hours. So, I'm going to give you a little bit longer, and we'll just see what happens. Hey? Yeah. Bedtime. So this is about the extent of Willow's tired signs. She gets really talkative and just sounds a little bit sad. Okay? So that probably means it's bedtime for you, baby. It's been 1 hour and 10 minutes. So she doesn't do very long wake time. Because this girl loves her sleep. Hey. Let's go to bed. So here I am just putting Willow to bed. I don't have any audio on the camera in her room, but you can obviously see what's going on. So I'm just zipping her up in a transitional swaddle that allows one arm in and one arm out. And we have a safety sleep for her because she started rolling over onto her front in her bed. So we thought we'd better secure her in place. Now I just give her a little bit of a kiss and a nice gentle soothe and just tell her how much I love her before walking out of the room. And she does calm down, but no baby likes being put to bed that much. So I just spend a little bit of time with her, just reassuring her, tucking her in, and then we give her her 10 minutes to self-settle. And you can see that she does start to cry, and that's very normal because babies do cry. So she just has a little bit of a grizzle, and I think if you look at the timestamp up in that top right hand corner, she only cries for a total of about 30 seconds, which if you're anything like I was used to hours and hours and hours of screaming. So 30 seconds I can do totally. So it doesn't take her long before she finds her thumb. Willow is a keen thumb sucker, so that is wonderful for us because it helps her self-settle really quickly. I've just fast forwarded this next bit because you don't need to see 5 minutes of Willow sucking her thumb and having another little cry, but I've trimmed it back a little bit and we'll just go through it. So she does have another little bit of a grizzle, but it's very momentary, and she finds her thumb again. And you can start seeing towards the end here that her eyes do start getting heavier, and she starts to doze off. There we go. Now this last little clip is played in actual time where you can see her eyes are closing. She's starting to fall asleep, and it doesn't take long. That was much less than 10 minutes. It was only about 6 or 7 minutes for her to start falling asleep. And she did a wonderful job. If you've watched this far, you must be a pretty desperate mum, just like I was. And I want to thank you for watching this video. I really desperately hope that some of these tools that I've put in this video do help you, because they really did help me. And if anything, I don't want anybody else to have to go through what I went through. And this is to all my mummy friends who are pregnant at the moment and you're due in the next few months, and I love you guys, and I don't want to see you struggle like how I struggled. You were all there for me, and I am so grateful. So I've put this together just hopefully to help you guys, because I know you saw the change, the dramatic change in Willow, from what she was like to what she is like now. Such a placid, wonderfully calm little baby who sleeps very well. And you guys all helped me get through, and I hope that you can use some of these tips and these tools with your own babies, and hopefully get your little ones into some sleep routines sooner rather than later. I love you guys, and I hope you found this informative. Good luck.